What if I told you your mind doesn't always want you to be happy? Yeah, sounds illegal, right? Like, bro, this thing is literally living inside your head rent-free. And instead of helping you enjoy life, sometimes it acts like a toxic roommate. You wake up motivated. Your mind goes, remember that embarrassing thing you said in seventh class? You finally start feeling confident. Your brain, cool. But what if everyone secretly hates you? You're relaxing peacefully, and suddenly your mind decides it's the perfect time to replay every awkward moment from the last 10 years like it's a Netflix documentary. Welcome to the strange world of how the mind tricks itself to stay unhappy. And the scary part? Most people don't even realize it's happening. Your brain is supposed to protect you, but sometimes it protects you from happiness too. Sounds dramatic, but stay with me, because by the end of this video, you might start noticing these little mental tricks happening in your own life. And honestly, once you see them, you can't unsee them. So let's start with the biggest trick of all. Your mind thinks familiar is safer than happy. That's huge. Humans are weird. We don't always choose what feels good. We choose what feels familiar. That's why some people stay in toxic friendships. That's why some people keep going back to the same person who hurt them. That's why some people literally complain all day but refuse to change anything. Because the brain loves patterns, even bad patterns. Your mind would rather stay in a miserable routine it understands than risk entering a happier situation it can't predict. Think about it. Have you ever delayed doing something important, then stressed about it the whole day, instead of just doing it? Like you'll spend 6 hours worrying about homework that takes 30 minutes. The brain is incredible. It turns one small task into a full cinematic horror movie. And somehow you still end up scrolling videos while panicking internally. That's not laziness. That's your mind choosing familiar discomfort over unfamiliar effort. Because weirdly enough, your brain gets comfortable being unhappy in predictable ways. And this leads to another trick. The brain becomes addicted to problems. Now wait. Nobody wakes up and says, wow, I hope I suffer emotionally today. But the brain loves having something to obsess over. Ever notice how, when one problem disappears, your brain immediately searches for another one? Exams finish. Your mind, cool. Now, let's panic about the future. You saw one insecurity. Brain, nice. Here's 3 new ones. It's like your mind works for customer support, but only for anxiety. No holidays, no breaks, 24/7 service. And the reason this happens is because the brain thinks constant worrying keeps you prepared. Your mind believes, if I expect bad things, I won't get hurt. But that's a trap, because eventually you stop enjoying life. You only prepare for disasters that probably won't even happen. You start overthinking text messages, facial expressions, tiny tone changes, late replies. Someone says okay instead of okay. And suddenly your mind is investigating like an FBI agent. What do they mean by that? Are they angry? Do they hate me? Should I disappear forever? Meanwhile, the other person is literally asleep. But your brain already wrote a whole emotional thriller. And honestly, the mind is very good at making assumptions feel like facts. That's one of its favorite tricks. Just because you feel something doesn't mean it's true. Read that again mentally. Your brain can create fake danger from absolutely nothing. You walk into a room and people laugh. Your mind instantly says, they're laughing at me. Reality? They probably remembered a meme. But the brain loves making itself the center of every negative situation. Psychologists actually call this a cognitive distortion, which is basically a fancy scientific way of saying your brain is being dramatic again. And the craziest part? The mind usually remembers negative things more than positive ones. You could receive 20 compliments and 1 insult. Guess which one your brain stores in Ultra HD 4K quality forever? Exactly, because thousands of years ago, humans survived by focusing on danger. Your ancestors didn't survive by saying, what a beautiful sunset. They survived by saying, wait, is that tiger about to eat us? So your brain naturally pays more attention to negative experiences. The problem is modern life isn't full of wild tigers anymore. Now, the tiger is usually a bad grade, an awkward interaction, or somebody leaving you on scene. But your brain reacts like it's life or death. That's why small things can feel huge inside your head. And social media makes this even worse, because your mind constantly compares your real life to everybody else's highlight reel. You're sitting there eating cold leftovers at 1 a.m. while somebody online is posting morning routine at 5 a.m. flex bicep sparkles. Bro, relax. Nobody is that happy all the time. Half the internet is people pretending they've figured life out while internally fighting demons over one unread message. But comparison is one of the mind's favorite ways to stay unhappy. Because the moment you compare your behind-the-scenes life to someone else's best moments, you automatically lose. Your brain starts saying, they're ahead, they look better, they're more successful, they're happier, and suddenly your own life feels smaller, even if it was perfectly fine 5 minutes ago. That's the scary power of the mind. It can turn peace into dissatisfaction instantly. And here's another sneaky trick. Your mind often rejects happiness when it finally arrives. Sounds weird, right? But think about it. Have you ever had a really good day, and suddenly your brain goes, this won't last? That's the mind trying to protect itself from disappointment. Sometimes people are so used to stress that calmness feels uncomfortable. Silence feels suspicious. Peace feels temporary. Love feels unsafe. So the brain creates problems again, just to return to what feels emotionally familiar. It's honestly like having a fire alarm that goes off when you make toast. Not every situation is danger, but your mind treats everything like an emergency. And maybe the biggest trick of all, your mind confuses thoughts with identity. You think, I failed, and the brain translates it into, I am a failure. You think, I feel lonely. Brain says, I will always be alone. One bad moment suddenly becomes your entire personality. But thoughts are not facts, and feelings are not permanent. Your mind changes constantly. Think about how many things once felt like the end of the world, but now you barely remember them. That embarrassing moment from years ago, most people forgot it in 10 minutes. Meanwhile, your brain kept the replay button permanently activated. And honestly, the mind can be kind of a bully sometimes. But here's the good news. Once you realize your brain plays these tricks, you stop believing every thought automatically. You start questioning them. Is this actually true? Or is my brain just overreacting again? That tiny pause changes everything. Because happiness isn't about never having negative thoughts. That's impossible. Even confident people overthink. Even successful people feel insecure. Even calm people panic sometimes. The difference is they don't treat every thought like absolute truth. They let thoughts pass through their mind instead of building a house inside them. And maybe that's the real goal. Not becoming positive 24/7. Not pretending life is perfect. Not acting like some motivational robot who wakes up smiling at vegetables. Just learning that your mind is a storyteller. Sometimes it tells the truth. Sometimes it creates horror movies from absolutely nothing. And the moment you realize that, you gain power over it. Because maybe your thoughts are not predictions. Maybe they're just noise. Maybe your brain isn't trying to destroy you. Maybe it's just outdated software trying way too hard to protect you. And honestly, that changes everything. So next time your mind says, you're not good enough, everybody hates you, you'll never be happy, pause for a second and ask yourself, is this reality or just my brain being dramatic again? Because sometimes the biggest thing keeping people unhappy is believing every single thought that enters their head.